Welcome to Documentary First, an inside look at a first-time filmmaker's journey. I'm your host, Josh Lindsay from the Movie Proposal Podcast, and with us is our first-time filmmaker, Christian Taylor.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, Christian. How are you?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here.
And coming live from the deep, dark places of his basement, couldn't do it without him, Jason Rugg. How's it going, Jason?
Hey there.
You know, it just dawned on me. At some point, we do have to change your opening. We need to start thinking about that, which prompts me to advertise that on December 1st, we are doing a Patreon live stream for every level. And it's just a conversation with me, and we're going to be talking about sort of the future of the podcast and the naming of our brand and a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you want to be a part of this conversation, join our Patreon. Those of you that are supporters, we look forward to seeing you. So you can weigh in about this new opening. If you want to write something, go right ahead. We'll consider it.
Welcome to Documentary Second.
James.
Documentary Thirds.
James said we could not do that. He said that would be terrible. I believe him. He's had some good ideas.
Welcome to Documentary Ongoing. I'm your host.
All right. Well, where are we today? Today is, as we're recording, it's November 17th. This is going to come out the day before Thanksgiving next week. So you guys, I thought we ought to do a Thanksgiving episode where we talk about stuff we're thankful for and maybe how to make it through the holidays as a film production person, whatever you're doing, kind of what it's like in the industry during the holidays. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Are you in for that?
Let's do it.
All right. Good. I also ask you to think about your favorite Thanksgiving movies or movies that have Thanksgiving scenes in them. Did you give that any thought?
Yep. I did. I don't know if Josh did.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for doing your homework assignment. Why don't you go first? Tell us some of your favorite Thanksgiving themed movies or movies with Thanksgiving scenes in them.
Okay, so I could go for the just, traditional, easy, planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh,
but I'm going to leave that one for Josh because he picks the basic ones. It's fine. I think one of my favorite movies that my family tends to watch not necessarily on Thanksgiving, but around Thanksgiving is While You Were Sleeping. Have either of you seen that movie?
Oh, I think I do. Can you remind me of that?
Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock and was Bill Pullman, I think his name is.
Yeah.
A guy falls on the railroad tracks and she saves his life, but he ends up in a coma. And to get into the hospital, she says she's his fiance, but she actually has never really talked to him. She just sees him every day when he gets on the train and goes through her booth. And so she winds up entangled in his family who are all like, oh, I didn't even know he had a fiance. Like, he's a little bit estranged and they don't really talk all that much. And so she then masquerades in his family as fiance around Thanksgiving. And it's a really, really fun romantic comedy. I don't know if I would actually categorize. I guess it's a romantic comedy. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a pretty fun movie.
All right. And tell us the title one more time.
While You Were Sleeping.
While You Were Sleeping. All right. I'm going to have to remind myself and check out that movie. Thank you for that, Jason. All right, Josh, what you got?
I don't really think of there being a traditional Thanksgiving movie, but yes, Planes, Trains, and Automobile qualifies, and it is a fantastic film. And quite frankly, better than While You Were Sleeping.
Isn't Planes, Trains, and Automobiles the one where it's Steve Martin and John Candy, maybe? Is that right? John Candy?
It sounds like you haven't seen this one in a while.
Not in a while, but isn't that one where they can't get anywhere, so they have to take every form of transportation?
Yes.
It's a snowstorm or something?
Yeah, he's trying to get out of New York, get back to Chicago, and everyone's trying to get home, and the weather, and he just serendipitously ends up with John Candy, who is a rather annoying travel partner, but they just keep ending up together, even though Steve Martin tries to get away from him.
But I thought that one was for Christmas.
Well, it has a Christmas feel, and that was my point. Because I actually had to look up Thanksgiving movies. I'm like, what movies are there for Thanksgiving? And then Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is there because he's going home for Thanksgiving. But no one thinks of it as Thanksgiving. It does feel more like Christmas.
That's interesting. Yeah, I really thought it was a Christmas movie. All right. Well, I have one. And my pick is The Blind Side.
Okay, you're gonna have to qualify that as why is that Thanksgiving?
That's another
Well,
Sandra Bullock movie. Why does
it
she
is.
only make Thanksgiving movies?
It is another Sandra Bullock movie. Well, this is not a Thanksgiving movie, but remember I said it has to have a Thanksgiving scene in it. And so if you recall, there is a Thanksgiving scene in this film because it starts off with Michael starting at school and they kind of go through the fall of football season and then they have Thanksgiving. And the big Ole Miss game is on at Thanksgiving and they're like grabbing food and trying to watch the Ole Miss game, which is, what most of my family does every Thanksgiving, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. And then, he gets very, I guess, confused and goes and sits at the dining room table. So they all leave the Ole Miss game and go and sit at the table and have a traditional Thanksgiving meal. It's probably the first one that he had ever had like that. So it's very moving and emotional. And I love that movie anyway. I have a lot of, things I can relate to about that. I actually did take in a young man very much like Michael. He was from the Congo and ended up in our area and was sort of homeless and needed a family. So I can really relate to that, of course. I'm also an Ole Miss fan, so there's that as well.
All right, and she's from the South, the character anyway. So are you?
Yeah, blonde hair, about the same age.
All right, enough about Thanksgiving movies. You got to talk Netflix. I can't believe I haven't heard. Like, did they say anything about the Netflix meeting?
Oh, well, that was an interesting experience. So, our representative booked his plane flight on his own dime, flew over to Netflix, had 4 meetings. One was with the doc series guy for The Brave Dutch, and another one was for documentary sales to pitch The Girl Who Wore Freedom. And when he got there that day, I guess the next day, 3 of the meetings canceled because of different various reasons. And one of them was the doc series guy.
Wow.
So that was disappointing, but in a surprise turnaround, he did get to meet with the documentary film buyer. He pitched him 4 films and ours was the only one he was interested in and said he would watch.
Wow.
So that was really the best we could hope for out of that meeting. And, of course, that was just a few days ago and we haven't heard anything about that. But I was encouraged, and it does just show you the up and down of the film business. And sadly, because of that, it seems we lost our cinematographer and 2 of our producers that had signed on. Just because I think they were hoping we'd film in the spring, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen now. I think maybe the earliest that we would be able to pitch The Brave Dutch would be, in mid-January. So those are the breaks in the filmmaking business. And I was super disappointed to hear about that. That kind of broke my heart a little bit, but it is what it is. And we will just take one step at a time. I mean, this is where my faith kind of buoys me during this time. If I really do believe that God has called me to do this, he opens the doors for me. And, he brings people into the project that I think are supposed to be there. Now, what's interesting is that doesn't mean everything's always going to go perfectly. We had a really bad experience with The Girl Who Wore Freedom with some crew members, and that ended up not being good, but it was a wonderful opportunity for us to do production differently, is what I was saying, in a way that for me is more Christ-like, in the way that you treat people, or you think about disappointments, or you handle people that are challenging. And so in this, I look at this situation the same way. I had an opportunity to handle this disappointment in one way or the other. I hope I can handle it with grace. It doesn't mean I wasn't angry or upset. It just means that I have to accept it is what it is. And there are things that are out of my control, and the budget is one of them. And at this point, so.
So what you said January would be the next time to pitch? Are you talking about to Netflix or what? Why January?
Yeah, for sure to Netflix, but I mean, they're going to pitch this to all streaming channels and, cable stuff. And so that's certainly not going to be happening now till the middle of January. And I think what's frustrating with the or the distributors, they want to pitch in person, I mean, thinking about trying to sell things over Zoom, it's just not the same, seeing people, their relationships that you've built over 25 years, let's say, their kids, you're friends with them. And so that's part of establishing that trust in person. And I think they'd really rather go back after 2 years to pitching in person. So.
And that's the thing too, is like
January. Go ahead.
Late November into December in the film industry is kind of just everything shuts down pretty much. It's just like a lot of people travel home or, that sort of thing. You've got a lot of high powered people who make a lot of money and they're just like, no, I'm not going to be here this month. Like that's pretty well known that like that and Sundance are 2 times when it's like almost impossible to get anything done in Hollywood.
It's hard during Cannes too, which is in May.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was one thing when we started talking about the ebbs and flows of the film industry, particularly during the holidays and how you handle things. I mean, once it gets to this time in the year, it's very difficult to get anything done in terms of meetings and sales. And, you can still do some filming around the holidays. That has happened, but, you can do some editing around the holidays. But, it's not, you don't take full scale productions out, like first of Thanksgiving or whatever, right before Thanksgiving or during the Christmas holidays. I mean, unless you're specifically filming around those times. So yeah, you have to expect that kind of lull in this industry, I think, and make sure that you're working on what you can work on and make sure that you're not stressing out that, oh my gosh, nothing is happening, because you just need to expect it.
So what will you do in the interim then?
Well, we are now going to have to go back and retool the Brave Dutch package, and we're going to have to be interviewing cinematographers and other producers now for the Brave Dutch. So that's a new thing on my list. And we are continuing with the Brave Dutch to develop story. We have a lot of research and development that can keep us busy. There is no time wasted here. And that means, the more we have time to do that now, the better prepared we'll be once we have the funding in and we're ready to go. So we're not wasting any time with that. And I think I may have mentioned it here, but we've been talking to the town of Carentan about also doing a documentary about the Battle of Carentan. So I'm going to be going to Normandy for Christmas. So we're going to leave middle of December and be gone until the end of December. And so I'll have meetings there in Carentan for, that documentary with various different people. So, I mean, I got a lot of work to do. I also have to finish a house renovation, which may kill me. I may be finished at the end of that. Anyway, so we got a lot still to do. And the Girl Who Wore Freedom is still chugging along. I think, our spirits were super lifted with that news this week. We're really hoping that, things continue to look up for this little film. It is still on Delta. People are enjoying it. I'm getting text messages and emails. But the most exciting thing is we are working to strike a deal with the distributor to start selling our DVDs. It looks like we're really pretty close there. And I can't wait for us to be able to say on our social media, DVDs for sale, or, after all of our events, being able to sell those. It seems like our audience that still uses DVDs. So I don't think that is true all over the place or with everyone, but they still seem to be popular. People are asking them for those all the time. And the other good news we've gotten is that FFS did strike a deal with Vudu. So the Girl Who Wore Freedom will be on Vudu in the new year. So at least that is another way that people can watch the film. So
awesome.
Yeah, so there's good stuff happening.
I have Vudu. Do you?
I do not.
Well, we used to Fandango, but now it's Vudu. So
yeah, they're merged.
Right.
So
Sure.
is when it's on Vudu, is that like you pay a subscription and you get to watch it, or is it like you have to buy it? How can people watch it on Vudu? Do you know?
That's a great question there, Jason. I wish I knew the answer to that one, but I do know you can have a subscription to Vudu, but I also think there is a pay option, right, Josh?
I'm sure there's lots of ways you can do it. The only way I've used it is we look for a particular movie. I see it's on Vudu, and we'll just rent it, and you have access to watch it for 2 days, and that's about it.
There are some free series on here. It's not going to be free, right?
Mine is not going to be free, no.
Okay, so it must be that it's available for purchase or rental. That's
Yeah.
going to be my guess, because I don't see any way to subscribe to it. So
Yeah, I'm
Well, there you
guessing that's the way it's going to be. Yeah.
well, cool.
So we'll see. And then we have a big, to do to plan for in June. So we'll also start going into overdrive planning for the Girl Who Wore Freedom in Normandy on June 5th. That's with the World War II, the GI Film Festival, or no, sorry, the World War II Normandy Film Festival through the World War II Foundation. That's Tim Gray's organization. But it's already sold out. So we're trying to make a couple of other screenings that anybody could go to. So we're busy working on that. Thanks to Flo Boucherie and Michelle Coupé. So we'll keep you guys updated about that.
So the guy who took a look or wanted to take a look at your film, the meeting that didn't happen that turned into the meeting that did happen. What's next with that?
So, I was told that this guy is good for his word and he will watch our film. But, of course, there's no timeline. So he'll watch it. And I guess he makes a decision as to whether or not to pass it up the chain or purchase the film. We'll see. I don't know. We'll just that's kind of a waiting game.
But what is he a part of?
Netflix.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought it was another serendipitous meeting with some other company.
No. Out of the 4 meetings, the only one we got was, with this guy who was the documentary film buyer.
So there were 4 Netflix meetings. Is that what you're saying? Okay. I don't think that's what we didn't. We thought there was just like one Netflix meeting.
Oh yes, sorry. No, there were 4
people under the umbrella. Okay.
And I was told that it's pretty much a ghost town at Netflix. They're still taking coronavirus pretty seriously. People are still wearing masks around there, and that, people just are not reporting to work like they were in the past. So we really are hoping things can start turning around so that we can get back to business out there.
All right. So we're in the doldrums of filmmaking.
For right now, we're in the doldrums of filmmaking, which is why we're doing a thankfulness episode. So I'd like to start that. You two begin thinking about things you're thankful for. It could be personally or professionally or whatever. I'm going to kind of run down a list of my things. In preparation for this episode, I really started looking back at the year. And as I did, I can tend to forget the things back in January. I mean, I remember the hard stuff that kind of started for me in June. And I've been going through a really tough time, with my dad. And then I did go to Normandy for 4 weeks, but that at the same time, I was starting this house renovation, which has just expanded exponentially and now is about to kill me. Things with my father are still challenging. I'm now in Virginia with my sister who just had her 5th baby, and I'm trying to work from here, and that's been interesting. So, my mind is focused on those things. And so I went back to my pictures. This is how I remember what actually happened this year, is that I went back to my picture library and I just started going through the pictures. And it reminded me that we had the Chandler Film Festival back in January. We went to the Polson, the film festival, Flathead Lake International Cinema Fest in Polson, Montana. We went to the Beaufort Film Festival in February in South Carolina, the Julian Dubuque Film Festival in Iowa in May, and then the GI Film Festival was virtual, but we were a part of that as well. And in those film festivals, we won many awards. We met incredible people. We saw really interesting locations that I'd never been to before, and, could even be considered filming locations going forward. They were so awesome. And so, I was really blown away by what kind of came out of that first of the year, including meeting Virginia Durr, who is our Delta representative. She's the woman from Normandy. She saw our film. She's like, everybody in the world needs to see this. We're going to put it on Delta. And, that was how that happened at the Beaufort, Film Festival. At the Julian Dubuque International Film Festival, that's where I met Mary Owen. And Mary Owen then introduced me to Virgil Films. And so I look at kind of where we are today, and it was the first half of the year is where those seeds were planted. And, if anybody ever wonders, is it worth it to, pay this money to go to film festivals, or to enter them to begin with, and then to go to them, I can say without a doubt that for me and our projects, those film festivals were instrumental, really. So I'm very thankful for those things. I was with C.O. Bauer, one of the wonderful World War II veterans in our film this year, for his 78th birthday. So that was amazing. I then remembered that I met Tulay van Manen, and she is the Dutch woman that has, been helping us with The Brave Dutch. And because of her help, our story has exploded, and we've met so many people and found locations, and our plan is coming together because of her involvement. I started thinking about Hunter. Hunter left us in February to join the Navy, and he put Ben Fython in his place, another 101st soldier who's been incredibly helpful to us and a blessing. And now Hunter has gone through officer training. He is, at his first flying school. He's now been flying for a couple of weeks, learning how to land in crosswinds just today, and is really almost done with this phase. He'll go to Corpus Christi next to learn how to fly other things, but that's a huge transition in his life. And so, I'm thankful for that. And then I am really thankful for the internet, because without the internet, I would not have been able to work, the second half of the year with everything that's been happening in my own life, in my life personally. Wouldn't be able to keep up with these podcasts. So I feel extremely grateful for what's happened this year. And that only scratches the surface. When I think about the people on our team that have kept our project going, starting with you two guys. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. You are so faithful to be here. And I love our time together. Honestly, I love talking with you, talking movies, or just catching up. But it is a commitment that you make every week to be here. And you both make such a huge difference to this podcast. So I am super grateful for you, Jason Hoban, or Hoban. I always say his name wrong. Jason Hoban, who faithfully edits this podcast every week. He listens to the podcast and enjoys it, has a great attitude about it. He's been such a blessing. Jonathan Liu is the one that updates or uploads this to all of the podcast streaming services faithfully every week and puts them on Twitter. I'm so thankful for him. And then, there's Savannah Woods and Melissa Perkins and Mindy Cook. Marcia Snyder is sort of our shipping department. She's been amazing. So, this would not happen without all of these people who give their time. And Bob and Janie Miller, I mean, they have been instrumental to making this project happen financially, emotionally, just in every other way. I don't know if you guys have seen this, if you're listening to this podcast, but Bob and Janie volunteer for Reads Across America. And there was just this video that we put out on our social media that talks about the work they do and the people that volunteer for Reads Across America. It was super moving. And I love how committed they are to the preservation of memory. Both of their fathers did fight in World War II, and they're so committed to honoring their memories and all of, the other GIs that fought for our freedom. So thankful for Bob and Janie Miller. David Patterson, who's been incredible, for the last couple of years. I don't know where we'd be without him. So I have a heart full of thanks I don't know about you guys, but let me hear what you're thankful for.
We should have had Christian go last.
Yeah. I think Josh and I combined are
We
going to be
can't
about a
compete.
quarter of that. Josh, I'm thankful for you.
Oh, and Jason,
And-
I'm thankful for you.
All right. The end.
Oh, you guys.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks for listening to Documentary Ongoing. I'll say I'm thankful for this the second time in 20 years that we're not traveling for Thanksgiving. We're staying home. So I'm thrilled about that. And we'll be having brisket instead of turkey.
Really? How
Ooh.
did that happen?
Well, because I don't know about you, but I enjoy turkey at Thanksgiving. But that's the only time of the year that I ever eat turkey. I never go to a restaurant or ask Angie to pick up turkey. And I never think like, let's get turkey. And it's just Thanksgiving. Well, we were at church a couple years ago and the pastor said he doesn't like turkey. And so for Thanksgiving, they have roast beef. And my son and I looked at each other like, why haven't we been doing this? Why haven't we been eating this turkey? But then we always go to someone else's house. And so you can't really, you get what you get served. And well, now we're hosting. So we're getting burnt end brisket. I'm so pumped.
Awesome.
Are you making it yourself?
Oh, no.
No.
That's the other best part about it. We're getting it catered. Steamboat barbecue here in Wheaton. Very excited.
Well, who is coming to this Thanksgiving?
Angie's side of the family. We were supposed to go to St. Louis to see her family, but my son made the basketball team. Woohoo! And we got to stay in town for that. So now they're coming up to us.
That's great. Well, this is going to be fun. We'll have to check in with you and see how that goes over with everybody.
Jason?
And then, I think, Christian took one of mine, which was that I'm really thankful for the internet. Because it's been a really cool year of just like people who I've gotten to meet and connect with over the internet. Like when I went out to LA, I met a bunch of people who the only reason I knew who they were and they knew who I was because of Twitter. Like that we had connected over Twitter and had talked and become friends. And so it's just, I don't know. I'm really thankful for technology as much as I despise technology sometimes and think that it's tearing us apart, the internet in particular. I'm really thankful for what it's done in my life this year. And then, I am really thankful for both of you and for this podcast. It's been fun every single week to get together with you guys. And even though, Christian goes off and Josh gets busy and I get busy and we're not always here every single week, it's been a lot of fun to be together pretty regularly. So I'm just I'm thankful and excited for where everything's headed.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of that, do you have any updates of your own stuff? What's going on with, Jax and Sean? And
we had some pretty cool stuff happen this last week. So I didn't get to go because I was out in LA and it was just life was a little bit too crazy for me to go to this thing. There was an Act One barbecue, which I've talked about Act One before. It's a Christian incubator for screenwriters and producers and directors. And so Sean got to go because he lives out there in California. And so he, drove all the way in for it and had some really cool conversations and encouragement with people who had seen it and were talking about it. And it was pretty cool. And we might be getting some meetings out of these conversations and just that we have something to show for it. At this point, we have over 150 sketches available on our Instagram. So like, if you want to go see if we're funny, you can just go see if we're funny. And if we're not funny to you, we're not funny to you and go away. But we have over 8,000 people who think we're funny already and following us.
Awesome.
So it's kind of cool. It's kind of a proof of, hey, look at this. We made this thing and we're still making it every single day. We're putting up a new animation. And it's already starting to bear some fruit and get us some places. We'll see what actually happens with it. We're just excited to see where it goes.
That's awesome. Congratulations to you. It's fun to watch your journey as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that kind of wraps it up for this Thanksgiving episode. And I just want to say overall, I'm thankful for our listeners that keep listening each week, our Patreon supporters that listen and support us. And we hope that you have an incredibly thankful Thanksgiving. You know, I heard a long time ago, a thankful heart is a happy heart. So don't forget that.
Josh, you're muted.
Oh, you know what? I pulled something up in preparation to close, but it turns my mute button function off. So sorry to ruin the moment. Sometimes I'm thankful for technology, but sometimes I'm not so thankful for technology when it doesn't work. But anyhow. Okay, well, on that note, Christian, thankful for you as well. Thankful to our listeners. So thank you for listening today to Documentary First, where we believe everyone has a story to tell, and you could be the one to tell it.
Yes, you can. Bye, everybody.